lift up, then move.
All right, I hope you are ready for a glute day. I am so excited to take you through glute days. Oh, I just love training my glutes and building a shelf, as you can see. Today, I am training my sister-in-law. She is quite new to the gym. Backstory, she signed up maybe 2 months ago and went 4 times. And I know, especially as a beginner, that story is very similar to a lot of us, especially when I was starting as well. We are warming up on the treadmill for 5 minutes, and so I need you to move your body on the treadmill and just get the blood flowing, get your joints ready for what we are about to do, because we are gonna have an amazing workout. We were so sweaty, our legs were so jelly right after, and that is what we want. All right, so 5 minutes. You can also go on an incline. Make sure you're challenging yourself. I want you to get your heart pace going, and then we are gonna get into firing up these glutes. Prior to using any cables, dumbbells, or machines, I like to isolate my glutes always. All right, so we're gonna be using booty bands. You can use the plastic bands or you can use a material band. It's totally up to you. I'm just showing her, especially as a beginner, to use the plastic bands, as it's going to have way less resistance when you're first starting out. So you're going to make sure that your feet are hip width apart. The band is on your ankle, like bend in your knee, and you're sitting into your glutes. We are going to be supersetting this warm up with our cable kickback. I love doing cable kickbacks because they do isolate the glutes as well. I like to do bands, cables, and then machines, and then dumbbells. That's usually how it goes for me, and that's kind of how I grew my glutes. So we're gonna set up on the cables, make sure that the attachment is on your ankles, and then you are gonna have a slight bend in your knees. You want to make sure that your back is straight, your core is pulled in, and I like to hold onto the cable attachment. I like to hold on to the cable stand or rod just for some support. I like to be hinged forward at a 45, almost 90 degree, just because I find that it hits my glutes. I feel my glutes more rather than my lower back. If you're standing up straight and doing your kickbacks, then you will feel this in your lower back, and you do not want to be training and feeling your workout in your lower back. Then you're not going to enjoy it. So let's make sure that we do the other side as well. Let's get back into this form. Knees are slightly bent. We are hinged at a 45, almost 90 degree angle. We are going to kick up with our heel and squeeze at the top of the movement, slowly ascending back to our beginning starting position and making sure that our core is tight, engaged, and pulled in the entire time. All right. If you guys are enjoying this workout and the instructions so far, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and comment below what else you would like to see, or if you have any fitness questions. All right, we're gonna go back to our superset exercise where we're doing a lateral band walk, again to burn out the glutes. We want our glutes on fire before we touch any of the machines today. And so Start with the feet hip width apart, and then you are going to laterally walk your feet outwards, keeping a gap in between both feet. You never want to close in and let go of the resistance. We want as much resistance and pressure on your glutes and hamstring as much as possible. Then you are going to feel it more in your glutes, strengthen your joints, and build your glute. I also like to push my knees outwards as I'm doing this band walk, so it's going in the same direction as my toes. Keep your core pulled in and your chest up and your spine straight. All right, I'm excited. Let's move on to another duo. We are gonna superset a hip bridge, a single leg hip bridge with an abduction machine. Two of my favorite, but we're gonna continue isolating the glutes in this single leg hip bridge first, and then we're going to move on to the abduction machine. So first you want to find a bench that is not too high. It should be like your standard typical bench that you find in any gym that you're going to feel really comfortable on. Especially you're going to be placing your upper back, not your shoulders, your upper back. So slide right down, and then you're going to adjust your feet. Make sure that your ankles are directly underneath your knees, or they're slightly in front of your knees, but never behind. You're gonna drive up from your heels into your knees, into your glutes, and squeeze at the top. It's up to you if you wanna have your elbows rested on the bench. It's totally up to you, or you can also support your neck as well. I like to keep my spine straight. So as you see, my spine is not moving. My core, my belly, my core is pulled in, my chin is tucked, and the only things moving are my heels, knees, and hips, coming up to a full squeeze at the top. Make sure to do both legs, okay? Then we're gonna go into the abduction machine. Now, this is a newer model, and you can use plates for this, but this standard abduction machine is going to be where you can add in like from the cable pulley, right? Your standard seated abduction machine. So if your gym does not have this machine, use the abduction machine that is the standard gym machine. When seated on any abduction machine, you want to drive with your heels into your knees, into your hips, and squeeze with your glutes, keeping your chest up and proud and your belly button pulled in. You want to get that core really nice and tight, pulled into the back of that spine. Tempo is really important whenever you're using the abduction machine. So as you can see, my own tempo here is going to be 1, 2 on the way out and 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way in, as I go slower, carrying that weight, holding that weight on my way in, holding that tension, and then 1, 2 on the way out, really pushing against it. So really playing with that muscle and challenging that muscle. Okay. All right, meet me at the hack squat machine. I love me a hack squat machine. I definitely am someone who loves the weights. If I'm doing any squats, I like my weights below me, not above me. And what I mean by that is I'm not one that you'll ever see doing a barbell back squat. So the weights are never above me. I like them below me where I'm using my legs to lift them up, lift that pressure and the weights up. Words. All right, so I'm just gonna start out with light weights. Plus, again, I was training my sister-in-law, so I wanted to show her how to use this machine. She started with 25s. She did a really good job for her first time too, so that was nice. I was like, okay, all right. Usually I would start with no weights or 10 pounds, especially if you're a beginner. So you do not need to start off with 25 pounds. Start with nothing on the machine when you're first trying it out. Position your feet in a sumo stance, hip width apart or outside the hip width, outside shoulder width apart. Sit low into that machine underneath those shoulder pads. You're going to squat down and lift up until the machine is straight up, and then put the lever down. And you're going to sit back into your heels and squat back, pushing your glutes real low and sitting into your heels. Drive up from the heels into the knees and squeeze at the top. You want to take your time on the way down as you sit into the weights, and then drive up through the heels really with the tempo of 1, 2. So on your way down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on your way up, 1, 2. Now we are headed into our second set. I'm going to start to increase the weight for me. I'll usually take off weights if I'm training with someone who can't do as much weights as me. That's totally okay, especially if I'm teaching, not really training. And so I'm increasing the weight for myself. We're getting right back to our sumo stance with our feet turned out. Knees are aligned with the toes in the direction that the toes are in. We are taking our time, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way down, and 1, 2 on the way up to a full squeeze. Making sure that the core stays tight, our back is straight, and we are driving from the heels. I love dancing throughout my workout, especially if the music is good. Always have a really good playlist. Always have a really nice outfit. Make sure you're feeling yourself. You do not have to be in your dream body to be feeling yourself, honey. Okay, with time and patience and consistency, you will get there. So do not give up and just enjoy the process along the way. We are all done now. We are going to stretch it out. If you do have a stretch routine, which I highly encourage you building one to stretch at the end of your workouts, please do so. You can also copy the ones that I'm doing here, but I really hope you had an amazing workout. And don't forget to comment some love down below, and I will see you in the next one.